Hello, good evening. Welcome along to your Monday night phone in here on the Rangers Rabble. Ross, why am I laughing?
Because I've got a face for the steak bake, mate.
I thought you were going to say because it's about 2 minutes ago, Martin, you looked at Dev's door. I still do look at Dev's door, if I'm being brutally honest. Yeah, hello and welcome to your Monday night phone in. I'm Martin, joined by Wilf, Kerr and Ross Clark. How are we all? We all good? We all happy?
Yep. Happy as we can be.
Kerry, are you a wee bit nervous
For what?
for your team, your second team, third team's about to get pumped?
Third team. How's my second team?
They come from somewhere called Manchester. I don't know.
I think if they get into the night's game, it's a bonus. But I think if they get something for the night's game, or if they win the night's game, I think then everybody's got to start to talk about Liverpool because they've had a poor start to the season as well. But that's enough about that. Let's talk about Rangers.
Let's put it on in the background, shall we? So we're gonna have a right good laugh.
I thought I've got it in the background. Doesn't start.
I thought you might have. Wolf, is your travel plans all sorted for Eindhoven?
All sorted. Train tomorrow from Aberdeen at 8 minutes to 3 in the afternoon down to Edinburgh. Tram out to the airport. Big Iron Bird at 8:30 tomorrow over to Schiphol and then through to Eindhoven from there. All sorted. Bags packed, ready to go.
Bags packed, ready to go. And Ross, was that a good steak bake?
I never got to finish the last crusty bit, which is the best, but I'll have it once we finish.
Have it when it's freezing.
Can't be like it's like an authentic Greg's. You wait till it's stone cold.
Yeah, well, obviously other eateries are available because we're not sponsored by Greg's. But if Greg's want to sponsor us, then by all means, jump on the bandwagon and sponsor the Rabble. So we're live on YouTube and Twitter. If you're watching on YouTube, please do give the show a like and subscribe and switch on those notifications. The last time I checked, we're just under 130 away from 6,000 subscribers. So if you are watching and you haven't subscribed, please do that. And of course, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, we are sponsored by Zenith Coins. And if you use the code RR10, you get 10% off your order there. So go and check it out, see if you fancy it. And if you do, use the code RR10 to get 10% off your order. Now, we're here to talk mainly, obviously, about Wednesday night's game. PSV, second leg of the playoff to see who goes through to the Champions League. Just before we come on to that, Ross, news today, obviously, and I don't think it's a surprise to anybody. The Rangers have appealed the John Lundstrom red card. I'm guessing that we're all expecting that to be overturned.
Oh, if it doesn't get overturned, then there's serious questions to be asked. You seen even last night in the game that was on the telly. I went blank as to what game it was. But the tackle, Newcastle, Man City. Trippy done the exact same thing and actually put in a group chat, fuck, that's Willie Collins' wee brother that's refereeing. I couldn't believe he sent him off. But once you, obviously with the benefit of having a professional set-up league and having VAR for the full season rather than coming in X amount of games later, I don't think Colin could possibly have went through with a red card at the weekend had they been able to look at it again through VAR's eyes.
There's just a wee thought in the back of my head, Keir. This is Scottish football. You never know what's going to happen. Even the most obvious decisions are not always given. Are you 100% confident that will be overturned?
99%, Martin, because it's Scottish football. But I think if it does go overturned, I think questions have to be asked about Willie Collins. I think it opens up a can of worms for Willie Collins because it's not his first time. It's not his second time. You're into double figures with him, with his mistakes he's made, and he's consistent, right enough, but consistently poor. And I think questions have to be asked. I mean, like Ross just said, it's a professional league. I try to bring in VAR, but you get people like Willie Collins in the game, and Kevin Clancy, plus Nick Walsh into the bargain, and there's a few others there. I think the referees have to be questioned. We need referees to play a game of football, but we need better refs.
Listen, that's been the conversation. Well, and I don't really want to steer because I want to keep this positive and I want to talk PSV, but it seems to be, Wolf, that every weekend we're having the same conversation about referees.
It's the inconsistency. I mean, it's not even the inconsistency from referee to referee. I mean, look at our game on Saturday. Right? I mean, Jake Doyle Hayes went right through Lundstrom after about 25 minutes. and was rightly yellow carded. And then Lundstrom does a tackle almost identical. I would have said Doyle Hayes was a bit more dangerous, but almost identical. And straight away, I mean, the Boyle's not even on the ground and the referee's got his red card out. He was so quick, it was like he couldn't wait to send them off. You know, I mean, for me, I think Colum's got it in his head that I think that was dangerous. I better send him off. If I've got it wrong, they'll rescind it. But if I don't do it, I'll get all sorts of pelters if I've got this wrong and he should have been sent off. But if one's a red card, they're both a red card. And if Doyle Hayes goes after 25 minutes, we walk all over him. The extra man. You know, I mean, it's game-changing stuff. I mean, the Morelos red card, Morelos was stupid. I don't think it was a red card, but I understand why he was given it. I believe that no other player on that part gets sent off for that, other than Morelos, but he's given the referee the decision to make, which is why we haven't appealed it, I think. But the Lundstrom one, it's just the inconsistency. Given there was a tackle in the first half of the same game, almost identical, in almost the same place in the park, and the referee just gave a yellow card. You know? And then if you look at the other referees, as Kerr mentioned, some of the other referees, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the highlights from the Motherwell Livingston game. But I mean, Livingston conceded a penalty when the ball clearly hit the guy on the chest. It was nowhere near his arm. I don't think it was a linesman that gave that, but the officiators a team. You know what I mean? The standard of refereeing in this country is an absolute joke. It is an absolute joke. But a lot of the time, I think the referees are scared to give Rangers players the benefit of the doubt because they know if they get it wrong, they'll get absolute dog's abuse from all sides. Whereas if they get it wrong like he did on Saturday, Rangers will say, well, Gio should have called it out and he didn't. You know what I mean? He was very, very placid about it. Well, they know that Rangers aren't going to make too much noise about it. They'll appeal it. They'll let it go through the process. End of story. But if they left him on the park and he should have sent him off like the Morelos one, then Colum knows the sort of abuse you get from all sides.
Do you know what though? It doesn't change the fact, Ross, that Lundstrom, obviously, if it does get rescinded, which we all expect, it doesn't change the fact that he got sent off. And we drew the game to each. Now, obviously, there's more factors into that if you add in the Alfie red card, which I would imagine for everybody on this panel anyway was a red card. He deserved to be sent off. But these decisions by these referees, not just for Rangers, for every team in Scotland, are really, really hurting the game. And it's not like it's one or two here or there. It's every game, every week.
I think Will says there it's game-defining decisions, but see at this early stage of the season when you've got the run of games coming up, it could be season-defining. Because see if we don't get that rescinded and you've lost Lundstrom for the next game and you go and it's a battle, you're without two of your players. One definitely shouldn't have been red-carded and the other. So this could be season-defining because if we go and drop points at the weekend now without probably the midfield general, I spoke about it at the weekend, that Lundstrom's now doing the role Jack used to do for us better. Well, you're going to have to put in an unfit Ryan Jack. Ryan Jack didn't look fit at the weekend, I didn't think, and I think he's now going to play if Lundstrom doesn't get rescinded. So I think that they're looking at investing money into bringing VAR and stuff in. They should really be putting money into making the refs full time and making it a position that folk want to be a referee in Scotland, because it seems to me that the people that are refereeing games are guys that have never kicked a ball in their life.
The issue you've got, I think, in Scotland, Kieran, I don't. This is the final thing I'm going to say on it, and then we'll open up the phone lines. The issue you've got in Scotland is I think you've got one referee. I think I can't remember. Is it Don Robertson? I think maybe Don Robertson. He played for St Mirren or something like that. The issue you've got, Kerr, in Scotland is refs will always be defined as, Kevin Clancy. He's a Celtic fan. Bobby Madden. He was a Rangers man. Hugh Dallas. He was a Rangers man. Blah blah blah. Refs can't win in Scotland, and I think it's probably a harder job, full time or part time, than any other league that I know.
It's the rest of Scotland, Martin. Obviously, they're going to be defined, even if they don't like Rangers or Celtic. They're going to be pointed to worry them during a game. But I just think the refs aren't good enough. But it's very hard to get refs in. Ex-players, for some reason, don't want to do it, and you can see the reason why. So you're getting guys who are maybe teachers, politicians, other professions that want to do it. But it doesn't mean they're going to be good enough. But they don't get enough training. I'm not saying any refs biased. I'm not saying any refs corrupt. I just think they're not good enough to make the to be consistently good. I think they're consistently bad because they make mistakes, and I don't think they get called out as they should because they can't come out and speak after a decision. You can't speak to them either. But if a manager says anything or a player says anything, they get punished and stuff like that. So I think the way the rules are, they sway in favour of the referees. But we've seen other clubs in Scotland call referees out in the past, and it's been okay. But Rangers don't. I think it's time Rangers put a bit of talking about referees. Folk might turn around and say it's not true, but like I've said previously, if you talk about something often enough, people start to wonder, is it true? And I think we have to. And it's not me being looking through both tinted glasses. I just think because the referees are really bad, and for some reason, be cheating, corruption, or just being awfully bad at their job, we seem to be on the end of the decisions more often than others. I don't know why, because I wouldn't turn around and say Rangers are a very dirty football team.
No. Channel member Gaz, and that's another point as well. If you're in the position and you can afford that, and you want to help us out, then please do consider joining as a member. We are well over 70 now, and we have our members show on a Thursday, and I will talk about it a wee bit later on. But we're going to have our Super 6 show as well during the week when it's a wee bit quieter. We're going to have that as well. And if you join our Super 6 league, if you are a member, and it's only for members, and you finish top of that league at the end of the season, then you win yourself a wee £100. And it's free to join, so why would you not join? Ross, Gaz is saying we should get refs from either England or in Europe to do the Scottish games. That's not feasible, is it?
Don't want to pay them the money, mate. Bobby Madden was possibly one of the better refs we had, and he's chucked it to go there because he's got a full-time job doing there. He's able to then dedicate his life to being better, and am I right in saying he used to get games abroad while he was a Scottish ref? So you've got to say he must have been the standout. I'm sure he was at Greece and places like that, refereeing cup finals and stuff. The Scottish Football Association don't want to pay our refs to be full time. They don't want to encourage them to be full time. So why would they pay an EPL ref or a championship ref in England, who no doubt gets paid a lot more than us, to come up and look after games for us? I think that's a supporters thing, Martin, and it's going back to what you said. See, if we call John Beaton cheating beaten, they call him cheating beaten. We really call him. We say he's a Celtic fan, so he's against us. Celtic fans will say, because he's a Celtic fan, he's extra harsh. It's just fans, mate.
No win for the refs.
No, that's it. That's it. And if somebody comes up for England, it will be whoever's sitting on the panel at that time, whether it's Doncaster or Robson, or they brought up a referee that suited their team or what. It's just fans, mate. I don't think referees go out their way to be crap, but unfortunately, it's not a position anybody in Scotland wants to have. You don't hear young boys that maybe get an injury going, you know what I'm going to be? I'm going to be a ref, because it's not a career.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting young people coming through that. I remember Andrew Dallas when I played at the juniors, when he was coming through, and he was a wee rocket then, and you're not really getting many young ones that want to be a referee in Scotland. It's no, but I bet if you went round every primary school and says to folk at 5 years of age, would you want to be when you grow up? Neil Poit would be for an SFA referee.
I would imagine so. Excuse me, right. So yeah, the phone lines are open. 01416287237. Phone now and you will get on and get your point across. There was a few things about Kamara that I'm going to bring up later. Somebody's asked in the comments about what do you think we need transfer wise. That will come later. Firstly, Wolf, I want to talk about Wednesday. First of all, how are you feeling about it? Confident?
Always confident, man. Always confident. I think it's going to be a long night. I'll be very surprised if there's not extra time. I'll go against everything I believe in and say that both teams will score. I never say the team will score against Rangers, but I can't see PSV Eindhoven not scoring.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to win this game, we're going to have to score twice, I think. If it went all the way to penalties, it wouldn't surprise me, because if last Tuesday's in to go by the first leg, there's not a lot between the teams. They're both decent going forward. They're both a wee bit ropey at the back. I mean, they're a massive team. They're a really big team, so we really need to sort these set plays out. I mean, every goal they score seems to come off a corner or a free kick, so we need to sort that out. They don't seem to come through the middle the same. We need to have a go at them. I was gutted we didn't win that game last Tuesday, but in the cold light of day, thinking about it, 2-2 probably does us a favour because we have to go out and score.
Mm-hmm.
If we went out to Eindhoven try to hold on to a lead, would get slaughtered. I mean, we went to Belgium, and as far as I'm concerned, it was let's just not lose this game.
Mm-hmm.
And look how that turned out. We're lucky to get there 2-0. So if we go to Eindhoven with the same mentality, it'll go really, really badly wrong. But we know we'll have to go out there and score. So I'm not saying we need to go all gung-ho and throw everything at them. But I think we'll score. I think they'll score. And it could go to be perfectly honest, it could go anyway. But I'm fairly confident we'll be in Thursday's draw.
Just please don't say penalties. We have a first caller of the night, Brian. Brian, how are you?
Good evening, Martin. How are you?
Not bad, buddy.
Scott, Ross, Will, hope you're all good.
Hi, Brian.
Right, Brian.
Don't forget about Care. Don't forget about Care.
Was he still there? I'm only joking, Care. I'm only joking.
Would you
Couple
like?
of points. I think that I'm absolutely buzzing for Wednesday. Absolutely buzzing for it. But I think if we defend the way we defended at the weekend, I think we're opening ourselves wide open. And my second biggest point is, what did the panel think of Morelos after his outburst after he got sent off? He was laughing and things like that. What's your thoughts on that? Because I really annoyed me. I was at the game and when he was laughing, I really got cheesed off at that. I thought it was a straight red, but obviously he didn't, and he thought it was funny. But I didn't think it was funny at all.
Right. Well, we've heard Ross, and I'll come back to you, Ross, in a minute because we heard you on the reaction. Care, Morelos.
I think he was stupid. I think as soon as he lifted his arms, not even the first time, but the second time, he's given the referee an option to make a decision to make, and obviously it's a red card. Because, in my opinion, Alfie's refereed differently from certain other players in Scottish football, just the way he is. But he knows that himself, so why give the referee the decision to make with lifting your hands? Smiling after it, I seen that on the highlights I seen it on the game when I watched it on Sunday. And it doesn't look great, but I think he's smiling maybe because he thinks it as a joke. But I agree with the call. It's not a thing to do. And Alfie's a lot of chances with Rangers. Yeah, he's gave us a bit of loyalty, but we gave him it back. And he's probably the highest paid at Rangers. And to be honest with you, I think the way he is just now, we're not going to be able to sell him. I don't think anybody offers the money they want for him, and we're going to have to stick by him. But he's going to have to get back to where he has been. But he can't go back to the old Alfie because it doesn't work anymore.
Brian, can we take one sending off? And albeit the reactions maybe not what we want to see, but can we take one sending off as I'm going back to the old Alfie?
I'm not disputing that he's going back to the old Alfie. I think after maybe 3 or 4 years being at Ibrox, he knows what the fans are like, and I think he knows the reaction he's going to get. And when he got the red card, I just thought, I was at the game and there was fans beside me laughing. I was like, I don't understand why you're laughing. That's not acceptable. I understand that he gets judged different from our players. I totally get that. But he should have just walked off the park, in my opinion.
He is, Wolf. He does seem to be getting a bit of stick from a lot of people online and quite a few people in our comments for his reaction after being sent off. Quite
rightly so. I mean, he's let himself down. He's let the club down. You know, I mean, what he did was stupid. At the time, I was at the game as well, and at the time, I had no idea what he'd done. Not a clue. I did not a clue what had happened, and I was looking right up that line. But when I saw it again later, my first reaction was, "Well, it's not a red card," because I don't think it was. But having seen when he just not long after he first came on, he had a kick out at somebody. Now I don't suppose that went unnoticed. He then had a feel to see where the guy was that he slapped, that he tickled on the neck. Is the way I looked at what he did, and then he did it again. He swung his arm again. You can't do that. I understand why the referee sent him off because I think that's a case of if Colm had VAR and go and look at that, he might have went, well, okay, it was a bit harsh to leave him on because he didn't catch him in the face. But I can see why he put him off, and I'm not far away with Colm at all.
Well, not only has he had a feel and then done it again, he's then kicked him.
Correct.
He's then
he was ridiculous. Morelos was ridiculous, which is why we haven't appealed it. Tav came out after the game and said he was stupid. I mean, if your captain's telling you were stupid, that tells you what the club think about what he did. And for him to stand and laugh is an absolute embarrassment. It's ridiculous. I mean, Lundstrom had a look of absolute horror on his face when he laughed at the ridiculous decision because he knew his was never a red card. But Morelos should just have walked off. Mm-hmm. His reaction was out of order, and if he does anything like it again, we have to try and get rid of him. But as Kerr says, nobody's going to want to buy him.
If he does it again, we have to get rid of him. Is it that bad?
Yes, because that means he's back to the way he was. Look what he was like before. Previously, he got sent off 5-6 times.
How many chances does he need?
Exactly.
Ross?
I'm not saying sell him. I'm just saying how many chances does one player need?
Mr. Clark.
My thoughts on it, and after having a long think about it and reading Twitter and reading comments, are the exact same, Martin. The guy can't be trusted. He can't be trusted. It's all right when he's the hero. It's all right when he's the big iota and everybody's all give us a knee slide and do your fucking love heart celebrations, that is, and the fans love him. See, the first time things have had a wee setback for him in years, he's not a first choice striker. He's not the guy scoring goals. He's not the guy getting all the adulation. And he's come on the park, as Wilf says, at the time on Saturday when we done the reaction, I hadn't realised that he'd already kicked out at somebody in the game. So there's got to come a time when you just say, do you know what? Am I right in saying he signed 3 new contracts since he got here, getting a wage rise every time? Mm-hmm. So if we give him a new deal, he's going to be looking for more than that again. So you're going to be breaking your wage structure again to keep him on a long-term deal. And my worry is he worth a long-term deal, or do you just use him sparingly this year if you've got injuries or whatever? People in the comments saying he's your first choice striker if fit. I'm sorry, I don't think he is, unless Čolak is a stinker. I don't see him being your first choice striker now, because Čolak's came in, Čolak's grafting, Čolak's fit, Čolak looks hungry, Čolak looks professional, but yet Morelos, I get he can't do all the hard pre-season stuff because he's coming back from injury, but that doesn't give you an excuse to rock up in the shape he's in, and then when you get a chance to get minutes in a game, get yourself sent off after 12 because things are not going your way. He was looking for an excuse to get sent off, and that's why he kicked out at first, and that's why he's eventually got himself sent off.
Do you agree with
There's a comment went through there that said, so Lundstrom can laugh. Right? As I said, Lundstrom laughed at the ridiculous decision because he knew how bad the decision was. He wasn't laughing because he'd been sent off, in my opinion.
Brian, there's like somebody in the comments put, so like, just to clarify what Wolf said, somebody in the comments said, so Lundstrom can laugh because obviously it had been noticed that Morelos laughed. Is that different?
I thought Lundstrom, like Wolf said, Lundstrom laughed because he knew it was such a ridiculous decision. I thought that the way Alfie done it was disrespectful. I genuinely did. He was looking at Rangers fans. He was certainly looking at my area, and he was just laughing as if it doesn't matter. That's the way I felt anyway. I love Alfie.
Brian, could he not have been laughing? And I'm just playing devil's advocate. Could he not have been laughing for the same reason as what Lundstrom was laughing because he thought the decision was ridiculous?
It's just the way the perception is of the fans, isn't it? Especially like me when we pay all this money to go and watch the club. But I just thought that this guy's had how many red cards now? This guy's made so many mistakes.
First time since 2019, Brian.
Oh, is it? I see. I didn't know that. There you go.
First time he's been sent off since 2019.
But again, 2019, the next season's 55 season where everything's gone great. Then last season he missed a lot of the season through injury. Things were going great until the turn of Christmas, where we capitulated. So
would we trust him for Wednesday?
That's my point, mate. If the chips are down, he is not going to pull his socks up and work hard to get back in the team. You're going to get he's got that mad Latino fucking red mist in him. That's just the way I see it. You get people like that who have just got, if something's gone their way, they absolutely can he see past being petulant and kicking out? He's not going to work hard, get himself fitter, come on half an hour and score 2 goals and win you the game 4-1. He's going to lash out and look to get the fans on side by being what people class Morelos, cheeky wee guy and blah blah. But as I said to you the other day, he's as subtle as jumping in front of a train. Honestly, he's so. There's nothing cute about what he does. There's nothing cute about it. It's just right and blatant in front of you. He's no got that streetwiseness about him.
For me, it's Kolak on Wednesday, just for me.
Kerr, just on Brian's point there, would you trust him for Wednesday? We're obviously going to talk about the PSV game, but just quickly on that, and about Ross's comments there as well.
I think Alfie does play on the edge. We all know that. I think he's no streetwise, like Ross said. He's no streetwise, but we all know he plays on the edge. But he knows he's refereed to a different standard up here to other players. He's been here long enough to know that, Martin. So he has to be smarter. And he's not been sent off for a couple of seasons. Maybe he can take a couple of things into consideration because of that, but it's still 2019, no matter what's been in front of him. So Saturday, he let his teammates down, he let himself down, he let the fans down. But I think we'll sell him. I think if he does leave Rangers, it'll be in a free. I think that's the only way he'll leave Rangers. Would I trust him for Wednesday? If Alfie's fully fit, in my opinion, he's still our best striker. His goal scoring records aren't great, but he plays to be suit playing, because you've seen it when he's flying in Europe, especially in Europe, how well he can play and how well we play. But at the moment, you don't, because Kolak's been playing really well since he's come in, and he's not fit enough either.
Brian, buddy, thank you so much for the call. Brilliant.
Thanks very much, James. You all have a good night.
Right, cheers, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Bye.
I didn't quite expect. I mean, I should have, but I didn't quite expect us to go quite down the rabbit hole with regards to Morelos. But I probably should have. But look, there's a few people in the comments who are slightly annoyed by some of the opinions, which is fine. We've all got opinions. We've all got different opinions. If you've got a different opinion to that, phone in 01416287237. If you disagree with what the guys say, by all means, phone in. This is a democracy, folks. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Martin, can I say? Shut up, Martin. I think the club and Tav calling it out publicly is a last chance saloon for them. They've dealt with it in house. They've always protected them before, and I think this time, if it's a one-off, they've changed their tact, and I think that's why Tav's came out publicly and said that was stupid, because now it lets Morelos know and it lets the fans know that they're sick of his shit as well. They're not going to cover for him anymore. He's let us down, and I think that was very. I think that was very telling for Tav calling him out on it and using the word stupid. I thought it wasn't like, oh, Buff's made a mistake or it was Buff's being stupid. I thought that was a public call out, and I think that's maybe being tactical in order to try and show them that, look, the players are sick of you as well now. It's not just the fans on the message boards. It's not just the gaffer. We're sick of it as well.
Martin, if you've been sent off for a late tackle or a challenge or whatever, then you can say fair enough. But as Tav said, it's exactly what Ross says. What he did was stupid. It was absolutely stupid. He was leaving himself wide open to get a red card. Lundstrom was unlucky. We all know it wasn't a red card, but referees make daft decisions like that. I mean, Alfie had no reason to do what he did, and he gave the referee the choice. That's why they've called him out, because it was we're down to 10 men, right? He goes. He knows we're down to 9. We're really in the shit. We're only a goal ahead. Mm-hmm. He's just let everybody down.
No, listen, I get that. We have RFC 56 on the phone. RFC, how you doing?
Right, so it's my name's Mark, RFC, whatever. It doesn't bother me, right? But I'm here to let loose about Morelos.
All right, keep it clean.
Eh?
Keep it clean.
Aye. Well, honestly, what can I say? I mean, where do I start?
At the beginning.
Just, you usually know, right, to me in the comments that I'm the guy that doesn't like him the most because he's finishing for the past, going on 6 years now. He's played for us. And we've had to watch him try to win us the League Cup, the Scottish Cup, and the league 3 times a year for the past, going on 6 years. He's managed 2 trophies. He wasn't playing in the Scottish Cup final. He's managed 2 Old Firm goals at 18. His best record, I think, was 18. I'm finished. Go.
He is a top European goal scorer. But Kier, I'll take that point to you. RFC 56 is finished with Morelos.
I think you might not be the only one. I think a lot of people will be, Martin. I think it's just the way fans are, and I think they've got a right to be. I think he's been here a while. He knows the league. He knows the club. He knows how he should be. He should know now how to conduct himself. And I think, like Ross mentioned, and Wolf mentioned, maybe the pros coming out and saying that after the match on Saturday, and the club no defending him. I think they maybe gets that might have been the icing on the cake. Basically, I think it's not just that. I think it maybe the way he's come back training wise, because he looks a bit overweight, doesn't he? He doesn't look interested at times, and I think maybe the club are getting fed up with his attitude. Maybe he did want to leave and nobody's coming for him. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I think there has to be a big change in him before Gio. I don't think Gio trusts him maybe as much as he did. I don't know, because I think you may be getting frustrated because Kolak's in front of him as well. There's a lot of different things, but it's just everything's coming up at this moment in time, and I think Alfie's always a person we turn to at times when we were struggling in the past, but I think the football club's changed now because we've got players in a position we can rely on just as much as him. And I think Saturday showed us when he came on Saturday, he should be the person to hold the ball up, attack the 2 Hib centre back because both of them are on bookings. But like Will said, as soon as he came on Saturday, he wanted to get involved in trouble. He didn't want to play football. Straight away, he was involved in talking to people, kicking folk, annoying folk, even pulling up the referee when Lundstrom gets sent off. I know the rest of the players did that, but he's in his face, and the referees can remember that. And I think somebody said in the comments, yes, he acting like a spoiled child, and he might as well be. Maybe, like I say, he does want away. I don't know where to turn. We can't really get him at the moment, or we can't use him because we're not getting our strikers. But I think he has to change his attitude, and I think with Tav saying that, the club not backing him, I think he's down to his last chance saloon. But I agree with the caller. I think his goal scoring record could be better, but also agree with you as a top goal scorer in Europe. So he can do it, but he doesn't do it often enough.
Can I just ask, right? And maybe it's just me. Well, has there been a slight overreaction to this?
I think there's probably been a major overreaction to this. But
come on, Wolf.
But I think there has been an overreaction, and including from me, right? But it's a fucking deserved overreaction. Excuse my language, but it's a deserved overreaction because we thought the old Alfie was in the past. First red card since 2019. That's fine. But as I've just said, if he got sent off for something he did in a challenge with a player, like a tackle or whatever, that's fine. But I mean, it's daft stuff all the time. And when he did this before, there was a spate of it, and we can't afford the spate of it. We're sitting in a situation where at the moment we've got one fit striker, Morelos, on the way back. Morelos is now banned for 2 games. What happens if Kolak cops are so on Wednesday night? We don't have a striker. Are you going to turn to 16-year-old Zach Lovelace? Just throw him in on Saturday because we've got nothing else? I mean, that's the situation he's left us in. That's why a lot of people are pissed off with him, because Morelos hasn't been starting because he's not fit enough. Now he's been back at the club training after coming back from the injury long enough that he should be in a good enough shape to start the game. For me, it was always in the manager's plans to give him half an hour on Saturday because he brought him on after exactly an hour. I turned to Demi and said it must have been in the plans to bring him on for the last half hour, and he got himself sent off. So that's part of his rehab plan out the window as well, and he's left us really, really short up front. It's no wonder people have overreacted, if you want to call it an overreaction. He's let everybody do. I hate slagging Rangers players. I love Alfie to bits. I think he's a fabulous player when his head's in it. But for some reason, his head doesn't seem to be in it. I don't know why.
RFC, sorry, you told me your name when you first came on, but it kind of buzzed a wee bit and I didn't hear it. What was your name? Sorry.
Mark with a K.
Mark with a K. There you go. Just let me ask you then. You've made, obviously, look, you make your point in the comments all the time. You've made your point on the phone very, very clear. Is there any way back for you, for Alfie?
Absolutely no chance. I'm fed up to the guy more than I must be the most Rangers fan that's fed up with him. And even though yesterday, that's nothing new to me. That's no surprise that he's had a wee daft swing and a wee kick out and a wee laugh here. That's just Alfie. He's a child. That's what he does. But if he's finishing, that really annoys me that I've had to put up with trying to win me a League Cup, a Scottish Cup, a league title for the past, 6 years now. Let's say to you guys, man, honestly, what you do for Rangers, right, is cracking. I love yous. I'm not getting on at yous here. But that's me. I'm finished. Done. He's away.
Ross, he's obviously, like Mark's not happy with him. He's not happy. And it's not just with the petulance, it's with, I suppose, how he is as a player, his finishing, his overall record. Do you go along with that, Ross?
It's a tough call. I'll tell you one thing.
He's not a Ranger, Ross. He's not a Ranger.
I agree with you 100%. Last year we stuck when it came to Goldson. We wouldn't break our wage structure, and eventually he ended up signing. I wouldn't be giving Morelos now more money than he's on at the moment, and I think he'll be looking for more money. I think that'll be a breakdown right away. I also, as I said the other night, he's been giving me chances this season in Sakara, even though he's come back half fit and overweight. For me now, if Cholak gets injured, Sakara comes in. Morelos is going to need to work his way back in, because as well now, as Will says, that's him missing 2 games. So that puts Morelos back 4 weeks in his rehab, because he needs games to get fit. So do I love Morelos? Yes. But do I think that he's irreplaceable and there's nobody else going to score goals for Rangers if Morelos isn't playing? No. I think, what did Sakara get in the league last season in limited minutes? 12? Morelos' best for a full season is 17. So, look, we've moaned enough about getting a right winger. We've now got Matondo, who we're hoping is going to find a bit of consistency and be that. Why do we need a striker running the channels? We need a striker in the middle of the box scoring goals, which is why last season we failed to kill off Motherwell. We failed to kill off your Ross Counties. We failed to kill off all the weird teams that took points off us in 2-2 draws and 1 each draws and 3 each draws, because we don't kill these teams off. We don't. That's the way I see it. If Morelos is very much a Morelos player, he's not a team player. He's no. For me, it's a Morelos show, and at the moment, you're seeing what happens when he's not the main man, and that's back to the way it was at first. So, in answer to your question, it was a very long-winded way about, but if he'll sign a new contract on the same or reduced wages, 100%. Sign him. But if he's not willing to sign a contract and he wants an extra 5, 7, 10 grand a week, as far as I'm concerned, he's not earned it.
Fair enough. Mark, mate, thank you very much for the call.
Thanks for taking my call, lads. Appreciated very much.
No problem.
Cheers,
buddy.
Mark.
Cheers, Mark.
Cheers, Mark.
Well, this feels a wee bit super scoreboard day, man. This is normally you just get a call about what you're actually talking about, and now everybody's piling on the Morelos bandwagon.
Are you saying Kerr looks like Hugh Evans?
I'm saying Kerr is Hugh Evans, and it's going to get even more super scoreboard day in 2 wee seconds once I bring in our next caller.
That's good. Ross looks like Mark Wilson.
How you doing?
No bad, mate, yourself.
I'm no bad, mate. I would ask you what your thoughts on the game on Wednesday are, blah, 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 blah. But I'm guessing, and I could be wrong, but I'm guessing you're on to talk about Morelos.
Well, amongst other things, I've calmed down a wee bit by Saturday. I was absolutely raging. I just phoned up so I could wind RFC 56 up.
Oh.
Right, we're on about Morelos. Everybody's saying, right, and I did it myself. I was raging with him. I think what the guy, I think it was Brian, was saying, when I watched him when he started laughing, I was bailing. I'm like, what are you all about? If the score had stayed at 2-1 and we'd managed to stave them off, we had to be talking about Morelos, red card, and how bad he is, or what he does today, or he's petulant, he's childish. We'll be talking about a good 2-1 win. And I think everybody is overreacting a wee bit. Is he unfit? Aye, he looks it. Was he petulant? Aye. I think you said it yourself, Martin. He's not had a red card for 2 years. So you can't keep on bringing that up. But is he going to get slated for that every time he does a wee thing wrong? Somebody said in the comments, I thought it was brilliant. Do you remember when he slapped Brown at the back of the head? Right? Mm-hmm. We're all loving that. Get in there, oh, brilliant in that. But if he get red carded for that, what would everybody have been saying then?
Which he probably
I just feel that everybody's having a right go home. He does deserve it for the way what happened. But no, you just say, no, you're finished with us, I'll get out the club. Right, come on.
That was the point I was slightly making, Wolf. I personally think it's a slight overreaction. It's my opinion. We don't know. And listen, we've heard this quite a lot. Is he overweight? Is he out of shape? How do we know? I mean, we're looking at him.
Oh, yeah, Martin, he is. You can tell. He's top heavy, mate. You can see that.
All right, Wolf, is Morelos? Is he out of shape? Is he 100% out of shape, Wolf?
I don't know. He's definitely, he's not 100%. If he's 100% out of shape, he'd look like you.
Oh, you know what I mean? Is he totally out of shape? Did you just say he's 100% out of shape?
He's certainly nowhere near match fit, because if he was anywhere near match fit, I think he would have started against Hibs.
Oh, he's not. As I said, because he's coming back to injury.
Yeah, but I mean, the only way you get match fit is to play games. That's the sort of game you would play him in, right? For me. As I say, I think it was in his comeback plan. If whatever happens, he gets half an hour, right? What frustrates me is the fact he knew we were down to 10 men and he did what he did, right? Because he was fucking stupid, right? Mm-hmm. And the caller's right. If we'd held on and won the game, nobody would be talking about. Well, we wouldn't be talking this much about Morelos. There wouldn't have been the same reaction. And the fact we didn't win the game, for me, is as much down to the manager's tactics than it is down to Morelos getting sent off. But had he not got sent off, we only had 10 men, we'd have beat them. We would not have lost that goal with 10 men because we would have had that out ball and he was the out ball. But he got sent off. The manager takes Ryan Kent off, and it's like the Alamo for 20 minutes. You're never going to defend that deep for 20 minutes. It just isn't going to happen. Because every time we kicked it out, it came straight back in again. I mean,
well, hold on.
We were stupid. We didn't even clear the ball to the other end of the park. We just threw it back to the halfway line and it came straight back at us.
Right. Hold on. So you're all in agreement. I think Curry's in agreement that Morelos isn't in shape. He's nowhere near fit enough to be on the park. Gio put him on.
I know.
So we're all having a go at Morelos. Should some of that not come back on Gio?
Well, believe me, I've got plenty to say about the manager if I get the chance to. Let me tell you.
I'll put that to you, Curry, then, because if Wolf gets started, you'll be here all night.
Aye. The tactics that he's been playing over the last few games, it's not just the game against Hibs. It's been the European games as well. It's been too passive. It's been too slow. It's been side to side. We bursts of speed here and there. The one brilliant goal we scored, and it was absolutely world class, was when we did the overlap. The thing that we did time after time in the 55 season, that's how we got our goals. To get 55 was the overlap. Since this season started, they've done it, I think, about 3 times the whole season. I don't think he's playing to our players' strengths, the new anyway. The new players that have come in, I think we all said it's looking good. I even said I think it's looking like one of the best Rangers sides I've seen in a long time. Even although we won with the 55, I think the players that were brought in should be good enough to actually do well in Europe and take this league against that mob. So that's just me. The older players, the players that have been here for a while, are no showing I hate saying this, like the hunger that they did have for 55. It's as if it's like a normal job to them. I'll just go out, play a wee bit of football
It doesn't matter really. It's if we win, we win. But there's no blood, sweat, and tears for the older players. Like say Kent's been. Everybody's saying he's. I mean, I think he's been abysmal so far this season. BB. He's had the last couple of games. He's been not too bad, but the thing is, he's still doing the same thing. When he's defending, he's laying off his man. He's letting his man move, and you ruin him all the time. But he's put in a couple of good tackles, so I'm not going to blame him all that much. But the first few games, he was absolutely shockingly bad. Goldson, again, I didn't want us to re-sign him. Everybody was like, "Oh, who are we going to get?" Listen, there's loads of better centre defenders than Goldson. It's near enough every second game he's got a mistake in him. If it's not a slack pass, he's not tracking his man. If he's not tracking his man, he's dodging it the way of the ball. That dodging it the way of the ball has really, really pissed me off though, because he done it against PSV as well. And I think a lot of people didn't see that, but I think they've seen it now because there was a replay put on Twitter. But I'm actually a bit... I'm breaking it for tomorrow night. I really am.
Well,
don't put your nappy on until Wednesday, Curry. You'll be all right.
I think you need to go and lie down, Jerry.
It's all right. I'll borrow yours.
There's nothing happening tomorrow night, Curry. Don't worry. It's Wednesday. Still there?
Aye, still here, mate.
Just on Curry's point then, Ross, about the players that have been in the squad for 3, 4, 5 years. Do they look to you, Ross, as if they've lost a bit of hunger?
No, I don't think they've lost hunger. I don't think you can say Goldson's lost hunger. I don't think you can say Tav's lost hunger. I don't think you can say Jack's lost hunger. I don't think any of the boys have lost hunger. But what I would say is there's an air of complacency. I said the other night about a Goldson. It's Goldson and another. There's never any talk of when you've got Davies, Fitzsutter and Davis being your first two. It's always Goldson. So I think that there's an air of the undroppables about them, that boys think that they don't have to put their head in where it hurts because they know they'll play the next game anyway. Kent is the same as Morelos for me. See, on the European stage when they've got everybody watching them and the atmosphere's bouncing and it's Ibrox under the lights, the two of them have got decent returns in Europe, put in man of the match performances. But last year we made some run to get to the Europa League final. There's absolutely no denying that. But I want the two of them to be setting the heather on fire when we're playing at Dingwall on a Saturday when it's fucking -3. I want them to be going to Pataudry when the wind's blowing the place down and getting on the ball and making things happen. I want them to be playing against the dross in our league the same way they approach a game against Dortmund, against Leipzig, against Eintracht Frankfurt. I think that there's a massive issue with, it's only the dross we're playing today. So they know they don't have to play for their positions. There's certain positions in our team that you can nail on regardless of how poorly the player played the last game, unless they're getting rested, in which Kent has been once this season when he injured his leg.
Curry, thanks for the call.
No bother, mate. Right, guys, take it easy. Hopefully
Take it easy.
Yeah, Wednesday night, sorry. I thought the game was tomorrow night.
No,
See you, Curry.
That mistake all last week, don't worry about it.
I thought it was well, that's how I said
Well,
it.
you take it easy. Have a good one.
Cheers, Curry.
Hey, Curry. I thought it was Tuesday and August. I said it was at a Coldplay concert tomorrow night. I thought I was missing it, but it's Wednesday, so I'm happy.
Another one of these that's at the Coldplay concert.
Aye.
I think we'd be having a day off tomorrow. Jim Sloan, I can't believe we're thinking Gio was a bad manager, Europa League final. Nobody on this panel, I think, has said Gio was a bad manager. Even the best managers make mistakes. I was simply asking the question, Wolf, did Gio make a mistake bringing Alfie on? Or was he right to bring Alfie on and it's Alfie that's messed it up for himself?
I think he was right to bring him on because he needed the game time. But Morelos let him down by getting sent off. But the bigger mistake that I think he made when we went down to 9 men, I understand him taking Ryan Kent off because he needs to keep him for Wednesday, and he's just coming back from a knock as well. It's why he brought on Leon King and didn't stick on somebody with legs up front, because we had no outball. we had to have an out ball. The ball just kept coming back at us, and that's why we lost a goal in the 93rd minute. Because it was just basically the ball was inside of the box for 20 minutes. You're never gonna survive that. You know, I mean, if we've got an out ball, even with 9 men, you just say to somebody, "Look, we're going to kick it into the corner. You go and chase that. That'll run the clock down. That'll run a couple of minutes down before they get back up here. And then when we get it, we'll do the same again." You know, so you bring on, somebody with a wee bit of pace, just to run after the ball, just to bring Hibs out a little bit.
Sakala.
Yeah, you could have put Sakala on. Yeah, could have put Tillman on. You do exactly the same job.
The thing is,
I understand why you put Neil King on. I understand why you put King on, because he's a centre half, and
I think
he needed to try and show that up. But we had no outball; it just kept coming back at us.
I think the major issue as well, Wolf, and it's been something that's been mentioned quite a lot this season, is you're under siege. You've got a player like Tillman who's a good 6'2", 6'3". We're trying to defend on the edge of our own box, and you've got Ryan Jack who's 5'10", Stephen Davis who's maybe 5'8", and Scott Arfield who's maybe 5'10", and that's our three who are shielding a back five. Then when you look into the back five, you've got you're not a big dominant presence where we can. Every cross we make a first contact, we can't defend corners with 11v11. So I thought that there was a bit of that as well. If you're having a siege mentality, you need to be up big and physical. We tried to play it with 3 dwarfs in front of the back five. It was mad.
3 dwarfs that walk. They don't get any legs in them. That's how they're.
My apologies. I was just about to come to Care, but as ever, we have another caller. Sorry, Care. Gaz, hello.
Hiya. Right, I've got a wee bit of an issue here, right? A lot of you seem to have a bit of short-term memory loss here, right? Since Morelos come to Rangers, right, they've all kicked at him, they've done everything they've done to push him over the edge, right? You've had Scott Brunner do it, and that Ross, you could sit and laugh, right? But it's true.
I never laughed
Right?
at it.
Every time that Morelos was on for us, you had players like Scott Brunner that agitated him constantly through the games, right? And you expect him to go through every game with everybody that's winding him up and that, for not to take a hit back at them.
Can I ask you a question? Who wound them up at the weekend? Who wound them up at the weekend?
Aye, but we didn't. That's what I said, when he's went up for the ball, though, right? His eyes were actually on the ball, right? When he put his arm out at first, right? He put his arm out at first, right? And when he done that, right? He jumped, went for it again. I said it was a red card. I said it should have been a red card anyway, right? But I just didn't think you realise that for the goals that Morelos has brought to Rangers, right, and scored for us, right? He's had one bad game, but no, the whole team. The whole team wasn't good at the weekend. There's not one player that you can give pass marks to at the weekend, because every player, every chance that they had at goal, they never took shots, right? The defending was bad and all that, right? So how do you expect one player? You put all the blame on one player, and it's not just one player, it's the whole team that's to be held responsible for us losing. And for one of the people in the chat that's...
Oh, that wasn't me.
Aye, it was.
No, guys, please phone back, because I wanted to put something to him. Guys, phone back if you can, and you'll come straight back in.
Can I just say there that...
First of all, Ross, you weren't laughing.
I never laughed. No, that was what it was.
Guys, phone back in. Sorry, Ross.
No, just on what he's saying. See, if I'm getting paid 35 grand a week, somebody's annoying him. Scott Brown's winding him up. The two of them wind each other up all the time. But again, Scott Brown's cute about it. Morelos is no getting any subtlety. But the game on Saturday, the only thing that's winding Morelos up is the fact Morelos isn't the star man. So that's petulance. That's not being able to control yourself. And that's somebody that we are paying 35 grand a week in order to trust to come on and do his job for half an hour. So see if you can't control your behaviour. What chance have you got if you can't control yourself? Because Scott Brown's not even played in the league for nearly 2 years.
We've got Gaz back on the line. Gaz, can you just confirm that I never cut you off there?
No, it was me. It was my mobile phone, because it's a new mobile phone.
Right.
And when I touch the thing, it ends the call because it's so sensitive.
All right, I just wanted to make that very, very clear. Guys, can I just put something to you quickly on your point? I get the argument that he gets wound up a lot and he reacts to that, but Ross has just said there he's one of the highest paid players at the club. He's been at the club a long time now. He shouldn't be reacting like that. And number two, he's put us in a really, really difficult position. Normally a difficult away ground, but Hibs are a very poor team. But he already knew we were down to 10 men. And it's not just that he's had one slap. He's went back for a second. He's kicked out when he's come on the pitch. And then in that incident, he's had 2 slaps and a kick. That's not acceptable, guys.
I can't comment on the kick out because I missed that because I had went and put the kettle on at the time. So I missed that, but I just seen the challenge with the elbow. But like I said, I admit he was right to get sent off. I'm not disputing that fact. I'm just disputing the fact is that he's all blaming on one player, right? But the whole team was pass marks in the game.
We were 2-1 up at the time, guys. With 10
but
men
see,
controlling
every time that we were up in goals, even in the first half, we had a chance at goal. Nibby would take a shot and they would just pass the ball, right, which ruined your chances of scoring.
No, listen, I agree. I don't think we played great at all. But at the time he got sent off, we were 2-1 up and looked extremely comfortable with 10 men. That's why I would put the blame at Alfie's door for the draw. Look, you can talk about Goldson and Jack turning their backs. I'm happy to talk about that. 100%. That was wrong, and it was late.
I was going to mention that next. That's the one thing I was going to mention.
100%.
Next.
But the reason that we were in that position, the reason that we were defending so deep in our box, is because Alfie stupidly got himself sent off when we were already down to 10 men.
Aye, well, as it goes with that, when you were saying about Goldson as well, he did the same on the game at the weekend as he done during the week in the Europe game. He's moved away from the ball instead of getting in front of the ball again, which has led to another goal. He's actually got out the way of the ball again, right? And that's the sitting time now. It's like he's feared to get hit with the ball. He's a defender, so he has to get in and block shots. Simple as, and he's not doing that. It led to the first goal that they got.
I can't disagree with that, Kerr, in terms of Goldson's defending. For Hibs equaliser, he's turned his back, hasn't he, Kerr? You're on mute.
That was the most sense you'd ever made. I know, Kerr, I like that.
Cheers, Ross. He never turned his back. Goldsey moved to the side. It came off his shoulder. It was Jack that turned his back.
Jack turned his back.
But having
coached moved out the way. No, when you seen the thing, he moved out the way for when the ball was.
That's what I mean. He moved to the side and it came off his shoulder and went in by McLaughlin. But it doesn't matter what you're paid nowadays. It doesn't matter if you're earning $100,000 a week or earning nothing. If you're in a football park, having coached kids up to the age of 18, you tell them constantly, don't turn your back, but they do. And guys are the same. It doesn't matter how much you're paid. When a ball's going towards you, professional, amateur, semi-professional, a lot of people still turn their back in the game of football. It doesn't matter who they are. Ross will probably disagree with me because he usually does. Unless you're a goalkeeper with gloves on, you're not allowed to turn your back. But football players turn their back. I don't know the reason for it. They shouldn't, but they do. And getting back to Morelos, I think we've been a bit harsh on Alfie, but he probably deserves it for what he's done at the weekend. But I think Alfie has to now realise he's been at Rangers long enough to know he can't be stupid. He can't be self-interested, just be self-righteous about himself. It's a team he plays for. Like I said earlier, Rangers have been good to him with the contracts he's been having, with his wages he's been having. I know we didn't get him for a lot of money and we brought him up to be the player he is, and he didn't maybe wanted a move, but he has to look at himself and say, listen, I can't do things that other players do because I'm Alfredo Morelos, but a lot of that's down to him as well. But getting back to the boys turning their backs, it's just a football thing, Martin. The guys will turn their backs again. Golson will play well this season, and I think a lot of that's down to Sands is very similar. And Golson needs a guy next to him who's more dominant. And James Sands, for all I like about James Sands, he's not a dominant defender. He's a ball-playing defender.
Right, I've got one question on a good point
Yeah.
for Wednesday's game.
Mm-hmm.
Right, if the game was to go all the way to extra time, do you think it goes to penalties? Do you think McGregor should be in goals for it if it goes to penalties?
How many did he save in the Europa League final last year?
I know. Well, I don't. See, this is the problem we've got. We've never really. McLaughlin Wolf has never had a full run in the team, right? So we don't know just how good McLaughlin is compared to. I mean, I'm not comparing it to Alan McGregor, but if I take Ross's point, Wolf, he didn't save any penalties in the Europa League final.
He didn't.
So why
to be
would
fair,
you change him for McLaughlin?
he didn't. But to be fair,
No, I'm
to
just asking the question there, just to see whether
Mm-hmm.
you think that,
Well,
whether you think that he should be or not. I'm not saying that Marcel he should be. I'm just asking the
I know.
question whether.
No, that's fine. No, listen, you phone up, you ask a question. Wolf, what would you
no.
do?
To be fair to McGregor in Seville, with the 5 penalties that they took, they were all cracking penalties. So, you know, I mean, I think Ross would have struggled to save a couple of them. You know,
A couple of them maybe.
But no, if McLaughlin's in the team, I wouldn't change the goalkeeper just because it's going to penalties. I mean, look what happened in Seville. We brought on a player just because it was going to penalties, and that's the player that missed the penalty. And we all knew he was going to miss. You just don't do that. So if McGregor starts the game and it goes to penalties, then he's the man in the nets. If he doesn't start the game and it goes to penalties, then it's McLaughlin that's in the nets for it. And that's as simple as that.
No, just like I said, I just thought I would ask you because I didn't care where we stand with regards to what's better for us.
That's a fair question.
That's a good question.
It's a fair question,
That's a
guys.
very good question.
Guys, thanks for phoning. I was hoping somebody would phone up and defend Alfie, and you did. Thank you.
Right, no bother.
Cheers, guys.
Right, bye.
Right, see what we're talking about there, about Morelos. He gets paid 35 grand a week, right? He gets to play for Rangers for that, right? I would let you line up me outside Edmundston Road and throw water balloons full of cat's piss at me for 35 grand a week, and I wouldn't batter you for it if I'm getting paid that amount of money. Never mind Scott Brown annoying him. You know what I mean? Folk are so blinded by Morelos' past form that it's just as if he can just do what he wants, and folk will just go, aye, but it was just a one-off.
This should have been the Morelos preview instead of the PSV preview. But we've got Carol on the phone. Carol, how you doing?
Fine, I want to apologise to Ross first.
Oh,
I got it wrong with the red card because the rules had changed since I played football, you know. The other thing, I'm not talking about Morelos tonight. I'm not talking about the game at the weekend. I've got 2 questions, but it's actually the second question's got 2 parts.
Okay.
Right. First question. What does Roy Mackay do to make us get more chances? He's a forward coach. Have we created any more chances since he's been there?
Roy Mackay, obviously a phenomenal striker in his day. Is he making a difference?
Well, Kolak's scored a few goals since he's came, so he's probably helped him settle in, but it's down to maybe play football. I think we're too passive, I think we're too cautious, and I think that's more down to the manager than it is to Roy Mackay.
But he's a coach. I'm asking about the coach.
Well, the
But he can only give he's probably trying to help the strikers, which he's at the moment he can only really help 2 because the rest are injured, and then another one's now suspended, so he's only got 1 guy he's helping at the moment. And
I thought he was the forward line, you know.
Well, even if the 3 behind them, but that's up to the manager. If he says something, the manager's going to maybe disagree with him and say, listen, this is the way I want to play football. I don't know about you, but I just think Gio's a very cautious manager. I think we give teams too much respect. I think we give teams too much respect, mate.
Thank you, Kerr. VAR.
No.
Is it going to make a difference in Scotland?
I think the short answer to that would be yes. But Wolf, your thoughts?
It'll make a difference for offside, because offside's a matter of fact. They'll just draw a straight line and say either is or there isn't. It doesn't matter who's looking at it and what their leanings are.
Aye,
The
you as
offside,
well paint a stripe in the patch and save thousands.
but the actual
Because I don't think it'll make a hell of a lot of difference apart from offside, because right away you've got the same whole cabal of referees, and you're going to have referees for the same cabal sitting deciding on the referee that's on the park. I can't see it making any great difference. In fact, I dread it. I think we'll get worse decisions.
Ross, on the point Carol makes it about VAR, not so much offsides, but in-game decisions. Are we being a wee bit harsh on the referees there? Well, my opinion is they're poor, right? I don't think they're biased. I think they're poor. So if that is the case, Ross, surely VAR can only help.
Would I be right in saying...
Hold on, Carol.
Right, sorry.
You'll be apologising to me again, by the way. Cutting in like that, Carol.
Oh,
no. No, I think I forgot what I was going to say again.
Well, the VAR help.
The VAR, aye, sorry. I think that we've got a decent record in the past of when there's been a sending off that we've appealed. I think there's a decent-ish enough record for us getting bans rescinded, which I know doesn't help us on the day when you drop the points. But I would like to think that, and if VAR comes in, that they're going to have the opportunity to overturn that decision straight away. I think that if you've got VAR in and you're no rescinding Lundstrom's red card at the weekend, then it's absolutely a scandal, and the club have got to call that out. But I do think that when it's came to reviews, we've had a few that have been rescinded when they've been looked at again. So I would hope that would continue with a VAR panel.
I would like to think so, no.
But you don't sound confident, Carl.
No, I don't sound confident, but it's the same guys. The referee might be the same game, same panel. No, it's going to be the same. What if he's on the panel that was on there on Saturday? What if he's on the VAR as a referee?
I would like to think, and maybe it's just me being naive, but I would like to think that if Willie Collum got another look at that, then he might change his mind. But that might be me being naive, but I would certainly like to think that, well, if Willie Collum gets a second look at that Lundstrom, a bit like the Trippier incident in Newcastle, that he goes, all right, I maybe jumped the gun, because we know how much Willie Collum likes to jump the gun, Wolf.
Yeah, I'd like Willie Collum to explain why that was a red card and the one in the first half wasn't. Simple. It's simple as that. He doesn't even need to have another look at that. I'd like to know what he thought he saw in the Lundstrom challenge. But if it was VAR and he was asked to have a look at it, then I would hope he would change his mind. But my concern with VAR is that every time a referee gets called to have a look at it, well, not every time, but 99% of the time, they'll always go with what the VAR guy says to them. They don't see they seem to just want to back their mates up. That concerns me going forward. But it can't, put it this way, VAR can't make the referees any worse. Because we've got some absolute, there's some absolute howlers that we've got out there.
The one thing I would say, Carl, and CGM makes a point in the comments as well, it's lunacy that they're bringing it in halfway through a season. To me, that's crazy.
Aye, especially on Betamax. No, the other thing is, I can't understand how people think that making the referees professional will make them better. Because it's the same referees.
Yeah, but if you're spending more time doing something, and you're spending all your time doing something, you're going to get better at it.
Not
unless you're incompetent.
Well, aye, listen, that's an absolute point. But you're also going to be able to attract more people to apply for it.
This is it.
If you're paying referees 50, 60, 70, whatever it is, grand a year, I think that's what they get down south or something.
They're paying them that already. They're paying them £1,000 a game.
£1,000 a week.
£1,000 a game. It's £1,000 a game they're getting.
So if you think, Martin, if you are a player who maybe gets a bad injury and wants to chuck it at 32, 34, 28. If there's a full-time job in the refereeing going where you can supply a wage for your family every week and still be involved in football and work in the circles and be involved in the game, it then becomes something you can look forward to and something that you could look to as a full-time profession. But if you get injured, say for example, Xander, because he's easy, if he was to get injured, he's not got a trade behind him. He's got school things, but they're looking for a role within football. Do you know what I mean? So see if there's a chance for them to be a full-time referee, then maybe you would get people who have actually kicked a ball in their life that understand tackles happening in the heat of the moment and know what a professional foul is and know when somebody's at it and when they're no. Because if you've never been out on the grass and played football before, you're gone literally. They should be refereeing like robots because they don't understand what goes on in the heat of a battle when there's 11 people on the park playing football against another 11.
I play 7-a-sides once a week. Can I be a ref?
No.
I'm not bad at the sevens, by the way. Carol, mate, thank you so much for the call.
Mark, before we move off the referee thing, can I make one other point about the referee thing? And Ross is 100% right when it comes to former players that get injured or whatever, right? The other thing that they have to look at is raising the age they have to retire at, because they have to retire now something like the mid-40s, right? But that's been there for as long as I can remember as a rule. Generally speaking, people, especially sportsmen, keep themselves a lot fitter than they were. You know, if you're 50 now, you're not like it's not like a 50-year-old was 10 years ago. So surely, if they're going to try and encourage ex-professionals who've got injured or whatever in the late 20s to become full-time professional refs, they have to say to them, listen, you'll have to retire at 55 rather than 46 or 47 or whatever it is now. Otherwise, you're looking and say, well, I've got a career for 10 years. What do I do after that? What's the point? But as well get a job in a bank or as an engineer or whatever. You know, they have to look at the whole thing.
Right. Okay. PSV. Oh, God, we were supposed to start the show with that. And we've got Alan in Hampshire on the phone. Alan, please say you're phoning in to talk about PSV.
Aye. Well, kind of. How you doing, guys? How you? Hope you're all well.
Not bad.
Right. Just a quick comment before going on to PSV. Everything that says about Morelos, whether they deserve it or not, absolutely true. But do you think we should go into the market and start looking for another striker?
Okay.
Yes. Just because of lack of numbers, we need somebody else up front because I know Ross mentioned Sakala, but I don't think Sakala is good enough. I think if Gio trusted him, he'd have been playing more. But I don't think he does, and that's why even last season he was playing Aribo through the middle. So I think we need somebody else, special injuries, and I don't think we'll ever see Kemar Roof again. Put me a Rangers strip on because you just don't know what he's like injury wise. I think because maybe next season before we see him. So I think we need somebody else. I do think we need somebody else, and not the only position, but I do think we need somebody else. But I think that will only come down to if we get through on Wednesday night.
Do you know, before we started this tonight, I was a wee bit panicky because I thought we'll do a preview of PSV. That'll probably last about 20-25 minutes. There's only so many questions you can ask in a preview. And now we're on 13 minutes and we've barely touched in the game. Somebody's brought up a comment about Zach Lovelace. I wanted to touch on Kamara possibly leaving the club. But I really fear the wrath of my good lady if I'm on for any longer than an hour and a half, 2 hours. I think she might just about throw me through my sunroom window. So, Alan.
Mark Mize is already threatening to call in and tell me you get off of this.
Alan, PSV on Wednesday. How are you feeling?
I think Curry Monchar mentioned, I'm actually a bit nervous. I'm really nervous about this team. We've not been performing well. Gio's tactics, I think he's trying to discover how to blend in these new boys with the old boys. And I don't think he's got that gel quite right yet. So I'm feeling a wee bit nervous. If Rangers wish to, and I hope they do, go out there, score an early goal, that'll put my nerves at ease. But I think Will also says there's a goal in PSV. Mm-hmm. There's a goal in PSV, but we need to make sure we've got that one more goal more than them.
roster a very, very good team, PSV. I don't think nobody can deny that. And we're going away. It's the ties level. Obviously, there's no away goals, so that probably helps us. But it's going to be a very, very tough game.
I don't have any better at bad news, mate, but I can see us struggling, to be honest. Just don't think we've clicked. I don't think. I'm saying that, I'm talking about the league. I don't think Gio's got his thing for the league, but last year he got us to a Europa League final, so how can you write us off?
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't see the gel, the passion, the hunger to fight for each other like we had at the end of last year. And again, you've lost a couple of your main assets for that. It looks, as you touched on there, we're going to lose Kamara as well. So you've lost Kamara, Aribo and Bassi, who seem to always be together, seem to be a wee nucleus of people that Balogun and stuff fed into as well. So you've lost a lot of big characters without really replacing them. I think Lawrence will be a big character in the squad. I think Cholak is a big character already. You can see he's popular, but for the younger guys like your Matondos and stuff trying to come back, I just don't know if we've got that character and that DNA about our squad. I don't know if this is going to come too early against what is a really good side that have spent a lot of money to get the squad in they've got. People forget that our net spend this year must be in the minus because of the amount of money we've made, although we've bought a few players. And if we don't win, is it down to the board? You could say that. I don't know what money's in the pot, but I would have liked to have seen us, as I've said 100 times, go and get a goalkeeper that's going to dominate and set up attacks for the back. I'd have liked to have seen us going and buying another striker because, as Kerr and Wolf were touching on there, Sakara's out the picture. He's no fancied. You've got Ruth, who's never fit. So if Morelos is now back to his old self and missing games through frustration or whatever, it really just leaves you with Cholak, who gives you one option. But I believe 3 or 4 strikers in your team should all give you something different. Whereas in the past, we've relied to, we've seen it at the cup final and the semi-finals and stuff last year. When Morelos isn't playing, we don't have a plan. Mm-hmm. And I think we're starting to develop a plan that plays around Cholak. But I just don't know if this game's going to come too soon, based on the fact that they're going to have home advantage now, and based on the fact that we don't look as if we can defend set pieces, mate. I think they're going to put pressure on us. I think we'll concede set pieces, and I could be totally wrong. We could come out and do a Dortmund, score early, and then that gives the players a lift. But personally, if I be honest with myself, I think this will come too soon, mate.
Alan, the one thing I will say, and I don't really like these kind of comparisons because different teams in different eras, etc., etc. But we do have as far as I'm aware, a very good record in Eindhoven.
We do, but I mean, when was the last time we played?
I know, like I say, I don't like these comparisons because it's different things, but it means something to me, hopefully.
I don't know if that's going to make much because at the end of the day, some of these players who are playing for Rangers were either very young when the last time we played across Eindhoven. I don't know who's going to come out on top in this one, and I'm sitting there and I'm kind of like struggling to get to the conclusion. Is Gio going to get the upper hand playing in his home country? Is Van Nistelrooy, that is his name, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I'm going to say Van Nistelrooy for something there, but that's a different person completely. But no doubt he's got Rangers' number. He's got Rangers' number after that first game. He's managed to see how we play, how to stop us playing. Whether or not Gio can counteract that, throw a spanner into the box, bring on a player who will be kind of will be mystifying to Eindhoven and get about them. But I don't know who's going to come out on top in this one, and I'm kind of slightly worried.
Well, do you know what, Kerr? In fact, sorry, I'll go to Wolf. I've ignored Wolf for the last 5 or 10 minutes. My apologies, Wolf. We've spoken about Gio tonight already, saying, look, was he right to do this? Was he right to do that? But Ross has mentioned it, and I think it's something that we should all remember. He is the man who got us to a European final, Wolf. So there has to be some level of trust in Gio going over, especially going to a country that he knows very, very well.
There's got to be a level of trust in him, and I think that our biggest problem as a club just now is that we're too safe. We take the safe ball all the time. I mean, it's been mentioned to me before by folk that know of Gio's kind of earlier management career. He plays in like a horseshoe. The ball goes left, middle, right, and then back again, like in the shape of a horseshoe, and very rarely goes forward. That might help us in Eindhoven. Mm-hmm. But what concerns me is that we've only scored one goal away from home in a European tie, other than the final, because that was on a neutral ground, since we put 4 past Dortmund. You know, we scored a goal in Belgrade. We didn't score in any of the other 3 games. That concerns me a little bit. But it's slightly different because in those other games, we were away first, and it was just try and keep the score respectable, take it back to Ibrox, and the crowd will carry us through. So I'm cautiously optimistic, and I'm hopeful that our cautious approach will actually do us a favour on Wednesday night. But as I said earlier, I can see extra time, and I really hope it doesn't go to penalties, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Alan, give me a quick prediction before I let you go.
Oh, no pressure then there, Martin. I'm going to say 1 each, extra time, Rangers to score in extra time to make it 2-1.
That'll do. I say that'll do me. That won't do my heart rate, but I'll accept it. I'll accept it. Alan, thanks for the call.
No problem, chaps. Have a good evening.
Cheers.
Cheers, Alan.
Right, Jim, another super chat. Curry, this one is for you, mate. Jim, thank you so much for the support. Mental, the support Jim's put into the channel. Absolutely crazy. Okay, how important is Wednesday for us as a club in terms of getting to that Champions League and that Champions League money? Or, and I don't like to talk about the negatives, but for example, if it happens and we don't progress, is it the worst thing in the world to drop them into the group stages of the Europa League?
It's not the worst thing in the world, Martin, but I think this is where the club want to be. It's where the fans want to be. And I think because we missed out last season, I know we got to the final Europa League, but I think because we missed out with Malmo very poorly, I think we have to get to it because it's what everybody wants. And I'm going to say if we get group stages, we're going to go much further. We probably won't. But I think if we don't get to it, we can only blame ourselves. I think Wednesday night, I'm excited for the game. I don't feel as much between the sides. I feel they're a more physical outfit than we are. I feel that could be the deciding point because of physicality compared to us, especially at the back. But I just feel Van Nistelrooy doesn't seem to back. I don't know much about managerial style, but what I've seen at Ibrox, he wasn't very cautious. Whereas I think Gio could go over there and be quite cautious for the first 20 minutes to half an hour. And the way we're defending at the moment, I think that could cost us. I think we have to go over there and approach them and attack for the kick-off, but I don't know if we will because what I've seen this season so far, we seem to take a while to get into a game. We don't score many goals in the first 30. I think we've scored a goal in the first 30 minutes of play this season. I could be wrong in that, but
I suppose in a way they'll play differently to a lot of sides that we come up against. Maybe that might make a bit of difference.
Will I go 3 at back? I think we need to go 3 at back because of the way we're playing defensively.
Right, well,
if Ben Davis is fit, you bring him back in.
I tell you what I'll do. I'll ask channel member Ian Ross. Ian, will we go 3 at the back?
Hey guys, I think 3 at the back would be sensible against PSV, Martin. To be honest with you.
I mean, I don't know, Ian. In fact, I tell you what. Then I was going to ask the guys, Ian, but I'll ask you. How does Gio set up on Wednesday? Then what's he going to go? Not so much personnel, but tactics and formation. And how does he go about the game?
I don't think like Will says. I don't think he's going to change it. I think he'll approach the game cautiously. He'll probably have kept the left again. He might have Matundo on the other side. Hello,
I can hear you.
Sorry, Martin. Maybe play Matundo on the other side. But yeah, I think he'll be cautious and we'll hit them in the break. I don't think that's the right way. Personally, I don't think that's the right way to play. But I think that's the way that he's going to play it.
Wolf?
I think it depends greatly on whether or not Lawrence is fit. Because if Lawrence is in the team, I think he plays him on the right-hand side. And if he's not in the team, then I think it maybe will be somebody like Maton. It might even be right because he seems to like Scott Wright. But I think Lawrence starts on the right-hand side fit, but he went off injured on Saturday, so we don't know whether he's going to make it or not.
He does trust Ian. He does trust Scott Wright.
He does, yeah. He does, and no doubt you've said that. When you think about it, he could very well play him. He could very well start with him out there. You know, a lot depends on who's fit. You know, and who's not fit. You know that I got a feeling, even though what's happened to Morelos at the weekend, I get the feeling they might play him. As a good out ball in the middle.
What do you mean start him, or do you mean come off the bench?
Yeah, I mean start him. Yeah. Give him an hour.
Do you see Ross any possibility of Morelos starting on Wednesday?
No, no chance of you starting on Wednesday, man.
I do.
He's got Martin's not a European squad, so there's no chance of him starting.
Mate. Listen. We got half an hour at the weekend to try and get minutes in his legs. He desperately needs minutes in his legs, but not in this game. Absolutely no way, no chance. I just don't.
These are the games that Morelos come to the forefront. These are the games that Morelos excelled in last season.
Yeah, 100%. But he was fully fit. When he's fit, he definitely does. It's the fitness thing for me. I don't see Van Bronckhorst putting him on after him only getting 12 minutes at the weekend before being stupidly sent off. I just don't. Hey, listen, that could be his curveball. It could be. I don't profess to knowing what Van Bronckhorst's going to do if we one or the other. I disagree with the boys. I'd 100% would never play three at the back again after the first round at USG. I think you lose Lundstrom at the middle of the park. We lack a lot of bite in there. I thought Lundstrom, Sands, Goldson, the last game were honking, to be honest, as a free. But it poses the question again: who is your out ball? Do we play Kent and Matondo high? Try and hold them back with the fear of long balls over the top by two pacey players to get in the space, or does he go? Does he maybe throw a Scott Arfield or something into the starting lineup in order to try and keep possession and use experience? There's a lot of different things Gio could do, and I think that's where his knowledge of the league and all the scouting he's done. I've seen PSV once this season. It was last week, and I thought that they were very. I thought, to be honest, I think we're lucky still to Bennett. They had a couple of chances last week at Ibrox where they could have easily come away with a 4-2 win. So I'm going to.
Yeah, but we made a couple of half chances as well. You know, it was a close game, and it's going to be, without a doubt, it's going to be the same over there. You know,
yeah.
I mean, we've all sat here at many's a Wednesday and many's a Friday talking about how Gio is going to set the game up. We've always been wrong.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's whereas when we had Gerrard at the helm, you knew it was going to be 4-3-3, and that's what you're going to play. I think Van Bronckhorst's a bit of a tinker man. I think he believes that he can set the team up in many different formations. I think sometimes to his detriment. I think sometimes he overthinks it and tries to go a wee bit too, what the boys were saying, a wee bit too rigid, a wee bit too defensive sometimes when he doesn't need to. If he sits and...
That's exactly what happened against USG. He made the totally wrong decision against USG away.
So I suppose it'll come down to... I suppose it'll come down to the side Van Bronckhorst thinks is going to win, whether he thinks soak up pressure for 60 minutes and then go for it the last 30, or whether he wants to go into a Dortmund and try and go and score goals very off and get their heads down. It'll be very interesting to see the starting lineup on Wednesday, I'll tell you that.
Right, I know that.
Well,
I know. Sorry, Ian.
We need to start in the front foot, you know.
Ian, two seconds, Ian. Sorry, Kerr. I know that you have to go shortly, so I'm just going to take a quick point to you. Sorry, Ian. European away games, Kerr, are difficult no matter who you're playing. So obviously we're going to play a very decent team in a hostile atmosphere. I can't see Gio setting up to come out the traps and go at them. How do you see it? Do you see us sitting back, absorbing pressure and hitting on the break?
I think we will, but we shouldn't. But I think that's how we'll start. Because I know what Ellie's doing. I don't think we should do it, no, because if you sit back, and you can see the goal quickly, then you're on the back foot straight away. I think we have to come out and surprise them and go and attack them. Because if they lose a goal, the crowd could turn, but I don't think Gio's that kind of manager. I just think he's very cautious. A lot of Dutch managers are stuck in their ways. They don't really change because that's the way they're built, basically. There's a lot out there and they've all kind of stuck to their game plans. Ravakat was the same, he never changed. He brought players in and never built his system. I mean, I said previously, he signed Marcus Gill for 4 games and sold him. And I think Gio's kind of cut for the same cloth. I hope he's not. I hope he proves me wrong, but that's how I would go 3 at the back. And I'm not saying Lundstram would play there. Lundstram would always play in the middle. But if you've got Davis, Coulson and Sands, Borna and Tarvage are wing backs, and you can come at a 5, and Lundstram just sitting in front, either Jack or Stephen Davis. Then you've got Lawrence if he's fit, with Kolak, Kent or Tillman off a Kolak. We have to play it tight, but we have to be able to hit in the counter, hit in the transition. We can't be like last week. I thought they put a lot of balls through between the centre halves because there's hundreds of space. That's how I'm saying go 3 at back, because we've not got a defence it's good enough to play for it at the moment. And we're struggling with a zonal marking because we're not getting anybody dominant in there. I know Rossi mentioned a few guys previously for St Johnstone who are dominant in there, and we've not got players who are dominant in there for some reason. Connor's a really good football player, but he's not dominant. He's not physical. He's good at Sands is the same. I know a lot of people said they won headers at weekends, and they did. But we're talking about somebody in the box when the ball comes over for a set piece, corner, etc. And you're in a standing position. You have to be dominant to push the strikers away. We're not. We're letting the striker get on the ball first, or we're standing watching because it's zonal marking. A lot of players don't know where don't know where they should be, and they're maybe standing next to each other instead of in their own spots. But we can't go man to man because they're not dominant enough.
Right, Kerr, I shall let you go, so you can go and watch the second half of the Man United.
So I don't get moaned, Martin.
Thanks for coming on, Kerr, and I'll speak to you soon, buddy.
I think there's a bigger question to ask, Martin.
Before you come in, I'm just going to go back to Ian quickly.
Just put a point to Will, Martin.
Of course you can.
I can't understand the club's reluctance to play the academy players. You know, I've watched a lot of Bundesliga matches. I've watched a lot of Serie A matches, and I would say 70% of these teams all play 17, 18, 19-year-old players. I can't understand why that the club's reluctance to even give them a couple of games. I mean, we can sit here and say all we want that we shouldn't be throwing them in for this game, we shouldn't be throwing them in for that game. The bottom line, though, you've seen these players on a regular basis, though. The bottom line is if you're good enough, you're old enough. And I don't think we've even utilised the players that we've transferred properly.
Right.
All this money, and half these players that we've brought in haven't even had a game for us. And you've got these academy players who've been with the club for 10 years and physically want to play for Rangers, and they're not being given a run in the team. I just can't understand the reluctance to do it.
I've made my thoughts
when he made his debut for Rangers, and he scored in 2 cup finals.
Yeah, it's a different era of football now, Rowan, but I've made my thoughts extremely clear on how I feel, Wilf, that Rangers have used the academy. I don't think they've utilised the academy enough. I don't think enough young players have came through. And I think when the right youth players have came through, because we haven't capitalised on it, they've left and went down south. But Ian wanted to know your opinion, Wilf. So your opinion is?
My opinion on why we haven't used the academy players that are currently in the B team squad is because there's too much of a gulf between the 5th tier of the Scottish League and where we are in the top tier. I mean, you look at, abroad, you look at Germany, Holland, France, Spain, their B teams all play in their second division. And there's quite a gulf between like the Eredivisie and the second tier in Holland, or the Bundesliga and the Bundesliga 2. Well, in Germany it's Bundesliga 3 they play in, but you get the point. It's a lot closer to the level that the first team's actually playing in. So that's a problem. And a lot of our B team are kind of under 18, under 19 guys. The problem that we've got is once they outgrow the B team and they get to 20, there's nowhere else for them to go. There's not a 23s league. There's not a reserve league for them to play in. And because we put so much, as supporters put so much pressure on the club that we have to win every week and we have to win well every week, we can't throw in too many kids. I'm as frustrated as anyone that guys like Leon King aren't getting a lot of game time. Alex Lowry got unlucky, got injured in the pre-season. He's back at the B team getting games. He will be back in the first team, I fully believe. Charlie McCann, he'll certainly be on the bench on Wednesday. Probably just to make up the numbers, but he'll be there. So I agree with Ian, but they don't get enough game time. But the ones that are currently in the B team, there's just too much of a gulf for them. I mean, I'd love to see Zach Lovelace getting a shot, as we were talking about strikers. We're running out of strikers. Zach Lovelace is far too good for the level.
That's the guy I was implying about. Well, to be honest with you, that was the guy that I wanted to pick out for you.
He's still very raw.
With a lack of strikers, he should at least be on the bench.
He's still very, very raw.
Well,
and I've spoke to a couple of people at the academy, and they're really happy with him. And I know that there's a great belief that he could, and that they think he will go on and make it at the Rangers first team if he continues to improve the way that he's improving. But there's a lot about his game, Ian, that's still very, very raw.
He's played championship football down in England. There's not a harder league in England in the championship.
Well, I think the thing with strikers and all, Martin, is see the likes of Lovelace at the weekend putting a hat-trick in the first half, right? It doesn't matter who you're playing against. See if you're a striker, see scoring goals. The goals are no any way you're playing reserve football. They're no any bigger to make it easier for a striker. See if you've got a knack of finding positions and lashing shots into the box, which it looks like the boys got. The amount of chances we create, I said to you the other night, Messi would have played B team for Rangers till he was 21 and then get punted to another team elsewhere. He wouldn't got a chance, too small, not good enough, blah, blah, blah. I feel as if there comes a time when you've got to at least reward players. When at the moment we've got a striker crisis going on, as you say, Wolf, we've got Cholak and nobody else. For the Queen of the South game, I would be looking to maybe give the boy minutes against Queen of the South and have Cholak on the bench and rest him, because you're not playing at top level there. You're not throwing him in at Europe. You're throwing him in against a mid-level championship club, and see how he gets on. See how he handles the pressure of playing for first team. Somebody earlier on was talking about Derek Johnson for scoring the cup finals at 16. It's one of the positions I believe on a football park, both ends. See if you've got a young goalkeeper who's good enough, the goals don't change size. Your positioning doesn't change. If you've got a striker, the same. If you've got an actual striker who knows how to find his position in the park and knows where the goals are and is an instinctual finisher, it doesn't matter if he's playing reserve. It's not as if the goals are 3 feet longer and 2 feet higher at reserve football, and that's how he's scoring so many goals. Do you know what I mean?
No, I get that. Ian, thank you so much for the call. I'm going to have to let you go there, buddy, because we're finishing up shortly.
Yeah, okay, I was going to bring one more point up. But
okay, go for it. Oh, go for it.
Okay, we tease.
Did you see the tweet about that came out from St Mirren about asking their fans to pay extra money for tickets to stop Rangers and Celtic getting another stand?
I did.
I mean, how low has Scottish football come, man, when clubs are actually doing that?
I believe, and I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it wasn't actually the club's decision not to give the tickets to Rangers and Celtic. I believe it was a fan vote. So either way, the fans or the club are doing themselves out of cash, are making the game look poorer up here. It's embarrassing, if not anything else, Wolf, that the club now have to go to the supporters and say, right, we're not letting them in, and we've got a financial hole here to fill.
it's not a good look at all, not just for St Mirren, but for Scottish football. I mean, you've just said, Martin, it's not a club decision. Ultimately, it's a club decision. They went to their fans. They could disregard what their fans say. Now, these same fans that they said, well, we give Rangers and Celtic 2 stands, their fans have said no, but those same fans aren't turning up. They're not going to games. St Johnstone fans were exactly the same. Pre-COVID, St Johnstone said, look, we're giving them 3 stands because you guys aren't turning up. We've tried everything. We've tried bring a pal for a fiver, bring your mate along. It doesn't work. We need the money. Because these same fans who are saying don't let them in are the same fans at the end of the season. They'll say, why were we relegated? We needed to bring in a striker. And that extra £250,000 that they made from the extra ticket sales would have probably bought 2 strikers and paid their wages for the year. You know, it's why have we not got VAR in Scottish football yet? Clubs can't afford it. That's what they tell us. They can't afford it, but they can afford to have stands lying empty when there's Rangers and Celtic fans screaming for tickets. You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
To me, it beggars. I get the. See, if a club can sell out their stadium, I've got no problem with that. Right? I've got no issue. Hearts have cut our allocation this season. They've given us half the stand. They'll fill the rest of it. They've sold season tickets for the rest of it. They'll fill the ground. I've got no issue with that. Look after your own support first, right? It's no surprise to me that I heard on Friday Celtic were in contact with Rangers saying, can we talk about this ticket allocation for Old Firm games? Because they wanted to go back to 7,000 and 8,000 at games. Because they struggle to sell out their place. We don't. Yeah. We've need to give them 7,000 tickets because we'll sell Ibrox out without them. They won't sell their place out without us. That's why they've come to the table. You know, Kilmarnock will only give them 1 stand. Our fans will fill the ground. The other stand's empty. It makes no sense. It's supply and demand. And there's a demand for tickets and they're not supplying them. It beggars belief. Absolutely beggars belief.
You just have to watch the highlights on TV of these games, you know. I mean, 7,000 and 8,000 fans at Pittodrie and Easter Road and places like that. You know what I mean? It just makes Scottish football look as if nobody's interested in it.
It does. It's embarrassing. It is really embarrassing.
You only need to think back to our journey up through the leagues when we were selling out stadiums left, right, and centre, and the full top tier of Parkhead was made out of flags. So that just shows you Wolf's point. If there's no Rangers, nobody else gives a shit.
That's true.
So they want to take the blue pound, but they don't want to pay. The 20's plenty. I had a conversation with a boy who is part of the St Johnstone group who want to push 20's plenty. 20's plenty is great. It's great if you can get you go to every away game, Wolf. If you can get a ticket for 20 quid rather than 32, 33, you'd be laughing at.
Well, absolutely, it'd be great.
But it's the exact same as, see everybody who's saying the 20's plenty thing, see come the end of the season, as Wolf says, rather than selling 5,000 tickets at 32 quid a ticket, Rangers fans are only paying 20 quid a ticket to fill that stand. So it's still a big, massive drop. You can't have your cake and eat it. You had the blue pound for how long? We kept Scottish football going for how long? And now that we're back to the table, folk are telling us we're overcharging. I bet you'd have went and spent 20, 30 quid to go to the likes of Brecon to stand in fucking bushes and all that, Wolf, back then. Do you know what I mean?
It's not just the cost for the tickets, it's what you buy when you're in the stadium and stuff like that.
Exactly, mate.
It's the local community, the shops and everything. It's taken away from everything. But we'll leave that there. Ian, thank you so much for the call, buddy.
Cheers, Ian. Thanks for taking it back. So long.
Cheers, Ian.
Guys. Have a great day.
Cheers.
Bye.
Finishing up on PSV, an hour and 43 minutes later. See when these phone-ins go well and people phone in, the show, that time flies in. Right, okay, Ross, we'll finish up on team selection. Not what you want, not what you think. How does Gio approach this then? I'm 2 holding midfielders, 4 at the back, I get that. Who plays?
McLaughlin, Bonner Barisic, James Sands, Connor Goldson, James Tavernier, John Lundstrom, Steve Davis, Ken. If Lawrence is fit, he plays on the other side. Tillman through the middle, Cholak up front. If Lawrence isn't fit, you'll have Scott Wright on the right hand side.
Any disagreement there, Wolf?
No, I can't really argue with that. But I think that's probably what I would do as well. I'm not saying it's what the manager will do, but that's I mean, you'd possibly see Ben Davies at the back instead of Sands, but I would carry on with Sands because he's a better football player. Well, I don't really know because I've not seen anything of Davis.
If Ben Davis was fit, I would play Ben Davis next to James Sands and have Golson on the bench. There you go.
Never going to happen.
Well,
it's not going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
No, listen, I get that, but even if he passed a fitness test tomorrow, Ben Davies, he's no match fit. He's no player.
No,
he couldn't.
No way he starts.
Absolutely no way he comes into that team. Wolf, I'm going to ask you a dead easy question. Can we do it?
Yes.
How do we do it?
We beat PSV Eindhoven.
How do we beat PSV Eindhoven? By scoring more goals than
them. More goals than them. I'm not even sure it will come down to scoring more goals than them because it may very well be putting more penalties past their keeper than they put past ours. How do
we go about beating them, Wolf? How do we need to play? What do we need to do?
We'll have to be clinical up front. We'll have to be really tight at the back. I mean, we'll have to stop every cross ball that comes in because there'll be plenty of them. Every chance we get, because I don't think there'll be a lot of chances, we have to take them. We'll have to be very, very clinical up front. And see this taking an extra touch in the box nonsense that we've been doing. Forget that. You get the ball edge of the box, you got a sight to go, hit it. Just hit it and see what happens. The thing that's concerning me slightly for Wednesday, apparently it's going to be about 30 degrees pitch side at kick-off time. That's not going to be easy. But I also think that will slow PSV down because they're not particularly that used to that either. So I think the game might be quite slow because of the heat in the ground at the time. So we'll have to keep it tight at the back and we'll have to be clinical up front because both teams will make chances. As I say, I can see both teams scoring and I can also see it going to at least extra time.
Do we have to score first, Ross?
It would be nice to score first, Martin. But
very nice, wouldn't it? Be very nice.
But it depends. It depends. Timing's everything, doesn't it? If they score first and they score in the first minute, and you've got 89 minutes to claw it back, then it's not too big an issue. Mm-hmm. If they score first in the 98th minute, and you've only got 9 minutes added on because Willie Collum's in it, then you're struggling. Listen, it's not a death knell for Rangers' European hopes if you go 1-0 down. Mm-hmm. But it's about how we then respond to that because it's back to that fighting spirit. Does everybody want to stand shoulder to shoulder and battle like fuck as if their life depends on it for Rangers Football Club? Or have they got that in them yet? I've not seen it yet, but I'd be willing to be proved wrong and that they are all as gelled and as together as we were last year and what took us to a momentous European run.
Well, I mean, perfect comment. Every player will need to be on their game well for 100%.
Yeah, and I think that's 100%. And I think the team talk is quite easy for the manager. All he has to say to the players, because a lot of them will be players that have been with us for over a year. There's not a lot of the new players who are going to feature prominently, I don't think. Manager just has to remind them this is our fourth chance in the last year to qualify for the Champions League and we've blown the other three because we lost to Malmo, we threw away the league and we didn't win the Europa League. Now that was 3 chances inside 9 months to get into the Champions League. We've now got another chance at it. Let's not blow the other chance at it. It's all he has to say. Just tell them to go out there and win a game of football. It's 90 minutes. It's possibly 120 minutes. Just go out there and give it all they've got. And if we play it as well as we can, we will beat PSV Eindhoven. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
Final point to you, Ross, and you mentioned him in your team selection. Could Stephen Davis be the difference tomorrow? Wednesday. Yeah, I'm even doing it. Could Stephen Davis be the difference on Wednesday?
I think Stephen Davis is a glorious player, but it's about picking and choosing how and when you use him. If we can get Davis in, have Lundstrom doing the dirty stuff round about him and just let Davis get on the ball and pick his passes and control the tempo, then of course he's still one of the best players we've got. If you play him to, it's like the old player that starts off as a striker, then he falls back into attacking midfield, then he falls back into normal midfield. Before you know it, he's playing in goals. That's what we need to do with him. Manage his game time, manage what we're asking. We can't expect him to be the Steve Davis of 2 or 3 years ago that was up and down the park and sliding through balls and then blocking shots at the other end. He's got a role in the team, and I believe that he'll play for his experience, and I think he'll do a job for us. He never lets us down, let's be honest. He never lets us down.
No, and look, there's hundreds more we could talk about. I wanted to talk about Kamara, and somebody's asked if Kamara will play on Wednesday. No chance. Well, I say no chance. He might. But if we start talking about Kamara and more, we'll be here all night. Look, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please do give the show a like and a subscribe. We're getting very, very close to 6,000 subscribers, so it'd be greatly appreciated if you could do that. Make sure you turn on the notifications so you don't miss a show. We are, of course, sponsored by Zenith Coins, and if you use the code RR10 now, you get 10% off the Rangers range at zenithcoins.com. Go and check them out. It is great stuff. If you're watching on Twitter, give us a wee like and a retweet. Help us on Twitter by also giving us a wee follow as well. These 4-ins are going great. Everybody seems to love them, so we will keep doing them. Wilf, thank you.
Martin, thank you.
And Ross, everybody seems to love you being back, so I might just keep you on.
Well, as I say, the standard's been shocking, you know what I mean? So it was expected. No, thanks for having us back, mate. I'm enjoying it.
Cheers, Ross. Great to have you back, buddy.
Thank you to everybody in the comments. Thank you to everybody watching. We will be back on Wednesday with pre-match build-up, a half-time show, and, of course, post-match reaction. So thank you to everybody for watching, and we will see you soon.